Carl Edwards destroyed his career through 3 catastrophic decisions that turned guaranteed greatness into permanent regret. 28 victories wasted, 2 championships lost, a retirement at 37 that shocked the NASCAR world. At 46, nearly a decade later, the truth is undeniable. Carl didn't walk away from racing. He ran from pressure that broke him in ways winning never could. Carl Edwards had everything NASCAR wanted: 28 Cup Series victories, backflips that made Victory Lane appointment television, a smile sponsors paid millions to associate with their brands, the athleticism of an Olympic athlete combined with engineering intelligence from the University of Missouri. He arrived in Cup racing in 2005 with Roush Fenway Racing carrying the calculated approach of someone who studied racing like mathematics. Every decision measured, every risk analyzed, every move designed to maximize results while minimizing danger. By 2011, he had established himself among NASCAR's elite. Multiple wins each season, consistent top 5 finishes, the kind of driver teams build championships around. His backflip celebration became so iconic that fans arrived early just to watch him stick the landing. But beneath the smile and the athleticism, something was building. Pressure that championships demand, expectations that sponsors require, a perfectionism that turned every mistake into psychological torture. 3 moments would define Carl Edwards' career. 3 decisions that transformed potential greatness into cautionary tale. And all 3 were self-inflicted wounds that talent alone could not heal. The destruction started in 2011. Homestead, November 2011. The season finale. Carl Edwards versus Tony Stewart for the championship. Identical points. Winner takes everything. Carl led the most laps. He executed his race plan perfectly. He did everything right. Then came the final restart with 3 laps remaining. Stewart restarted on the inside, Edwards on the outside. They went into turn 1 side by side. Stewart's car broke loose. He saved it. Edwards maintained his line. Both survived. But Carl made a decision that would haunt him forever. Instead of racing Stewart aggressively for the win, he raced conservatively to protect his points position. He played defense when offense was required. He chose safety over risk. Stewart won the race. Plus Edwards finished second. They tied in points. The tiebreaker was wins. Stewart had 5. Edwards had 1. The championship went to Stewart. Carl climbed from his car knowing he had just destroyed his first chance at a title. Not through bad luck, not through mechanical failure, through fear disguised as strategy. I raced not to lose, instead of racing to win, Carl would admit years later. The regret in his voice was unmistakable. That night changed something inside him. The perfectionism that made him great became the anxiety that made him question every decision. He had been one aggressive move away from a championship and chose caution instead. The what-if haunted him for 5 years. But the destruction wasn't finished. Carl would get another chance at redemption, and he would destroy that opportunity even more spectacularly than the first. The 2016 season arrived with fresh hope. New team, new equipment, new opportunity to erase 2011's mistake. But history was about to repeat itself in the most devastating way possible. Carl Edwards joined Joe Gibbs Racing in 2015, determined to prove 2011 was a fluke. The 2016 season showed he was right. 3 wins, consistent top 10 finishes. He qualified for the Championship 4 at Homestead. November 20th, 2016, Carl versus Jimmie Johnson for the title. The same track where he'd lost 5 years earlier. This time would be different. This time he'd race aggressively. The final restart. 10 laps remaining. Carl dove to the inside of Jimmie Johnson with desperation masked as courage. He needed this pass, needed this championship, needed to erase 2011's conservative mistake. Contact. Carl's Toyota got loose. He tried to save it, overcompensated. The car snapped right. He hit the wall. Championship over. Dreams destroyed. Jimmie Johnson drove away to his 7th title while Carl sat in a wrecked car staring at the steering wheel. He climbed out slowly. No backflip this time. No smile. Just the hollow understanding that he'd been one position away from validation and thrown it away. The drive home from Homestead took hours but felt like minutes. Carl's mind replayed the restart obsessively. The aggression he'd shown. The desperation he'd felt. The crash that proved being too aggressive was just as destructive as being too conservative. 2 championships, 2 different approaches. Same result. Failure. Something broke inside Carl Edwards that night. Not physically, psychologically. He'd spent 5 years trying to correct 2011's conservative mistake by being aggressive in 2016. And he'd proven that no approach worked when pressure transformed racing into mental warfare. 2 months later, Carl Edwards made the final decision that destroyed his career completely. The decision nobody saw coming. The retirement that shocked NASCAR and proved that sometimes the most talented drivers are destroyed by demons that winds cannot silence. January 11th, 2017. Carl Edwards walked into a Joe Gibbs Racing press conference and ended his career with 7 words. "I am no longer going to race." 37 years old. Athletic prime. $20 million guaranteed in his contract. And he quit. The explanation he gave satisfied nobody. Family time, mental clarity, peace. Corporate words that hid the real truth. Carl Edwards was running from pressure that 2 championship failures had made unbearable. He couldn't face another season wondering if this would be the year. Couldn't handle another Homestead wondering if he'd be too conservative or too aggressive. Couldn't survive another failure that would prove talent alone was never enough when mental demons controlled the wheel. So he quit. Walked away from everything he'd spent 30 years building. Chose peace over pressure. Chose unknown over the certainty that racing would eventually destroy whatever was left of his mental health. The retirement destroyed his career in ways 2 championship losses never could, because losing championships leaves the possibility of redemption. Quitting eliminates it permanently. At 46, Carl Edwards lives in Columbia, Missouri. He stays fit, makes occasional public appearances, smiles when asked about racing. But the smile doesn't reach his eyes anymore. His son asked him recently if he regretted retiring. Carl's answer revealed everything. "I regret that I wasn't strong enough to keep racing, but I don't regret choosing my sanity over a sport that was killing me from the inside." Carl Edwards destroyed his career through 3 decisions. Racing too conservatively in 2011, racing too aggressively in 2016, and quitting in 2017 because he couldn't trust himself to find the balance between those extremes. 28 victories wasted. 2 championships lost. A Hall of Fame career abandoned. Not all because pressure proved more destructive than any crash ever could. Carl Edwards had everything NASCAR dreams are built on. 28 victories, 2 championship battles, a smile that sold millions in merchandise. Then he destroyed it all through decisions that turned talent into tragedy. At 46, the truth is undeniable. Sometimes the most gifted athletes are destroyed not by competition, but by pressure that makes winning feel worse than losing. To subscribe for more untold racing stories that reveal what really happened.